What's your prediction for the Area 51 raid? A dozen people show up, stare awkwardly at one another in the middle of the desert without speaking for several minutes. They sit, hope more show up. One checks Pokemon Go. Eventually, they gain enough confidence to break the ice. They go back home and create some dope memes for the rest of us that were just playing along with the joke. The army will be forced to set out an aid station with water and sunscreen because, of course, no one brought nearly enough. Bunch of food trucks and $7 bottled water sellers show up. 150 people also show up, eat and leave. If it actually happened. The military has a great opportunity to test new crowd dispersal technology and non-lethal weapons. 12 lonely people who are gonna stand out there, get ready and then not. Government's gonna have to waste a lot of money on prepping for an actual event, though. 97% of the folks who have said they were going won't attend. The remaining 3% will cancel due to lack of numbers. I really want 300,000 people to show up. 10 people actually show up and they are told to go away. They go away, the end. But not before we are tormented for the next few months with Area 51 memes. 15 people show up and are detained within minutes. 23 people will show up and stand here, discussing about how the others betrayed them. Some soldiers on a jeep will come and tell them to move. End of story. We piss off the aliens and they take over the Earth. The few people who actually decide to show will get disheartened once they realize just how remote the extraterrestrial highway is and how many hours of sagebrush they'll have to drive through to walk up to a perimeter fence and be stopped by authorities who stop everyone who even pulls over to peer remotely close to Area 51. Crazies regularly try to get onto Area 51. The government has experience dealing with this. Or the government will just shut down the extraterrestrial highway for a while if they think it'll be a big deal. It's not like there are a lot of ways to access Area 51. They changed the address on Google the night before, so we all turn up at the wrong place. News talking heads. Although a plan was made to storm Area 51 on social media, government officials were able to confirm the raid did not take place and Area 51 was not breached. Local blurbs around the country. Insert name S family is seeking answers after name disappeared after making plans to visit Area 51. Alternatively, they all get flashy thinged and don't remember being there. 8 to 12 people will show up at the meeting location. 2 of these people will be wearing Naruto t-shirts. 1 or 2 other people are seeking internet fame and will be driving Prius rentals. YouTubers Explore with Us and Adventures with Kristen will be there not as a participant but to cover the event for their channels. Every single person who shows up will be woefully underprepared for the desert, temperatures, and vast distances involved. The camo dudes will be on heightened alert but won't feel the need to carry automatic weapons for a bunch of anime-loving conspiracy theorists. The Nye County Sheriff's Department will increase patrols. Any experimental aircraft testing will cease for the day to decrease the risk of inadvertent exposure to classified materials. This was probably a joke by somebody that may have real-world consequences. A boring event that in 10 years will be spun into a Hollywood action film that makes millions. Step 1. Go to Nevada. Step 2. Film raid regardless of outcome. Step 3. Profit. Let's just say a few thousand idiots manage to show up and think they can pull it off. Best case scenario. They make a run for the fence line. The base responds with an acoustic non-lethal device. Roughly 1/3 of the group goes down, clutching their ears. Many more go down as they get closer, determined to make the fence, but ultimately failing. So maybe low 4-figure number actually make it within a few hundred yards of the fence line, in a significantly degraded state from a single non-lethal device. Cue the riot agents. A volley of tear gas canisters turns the last 5 football fields of distance to the fence line into a densely fogged snot fest. Another 50 to 60% become combat ineffective. Between the ringing in their ears, their inability to breathe, and the inability to see through the fog of gas, most of the group is unwilling or unable to proceed. A small number of intrepid individuals make it within 100 yards of the fence line. The searchlights come on. Between the fog, the tears, and millions of lumens of light in their face, they can't see what the hell is going on. They shout directions at one another, but now they're only a few hundred yards from the acoustic devices, and nobody can hear shit. Except for the first salvo of warning shots from a 50 cal HMG mounted to a Humvee nearby. Most of them scatter. A couple of brave souls aren't intimidated by the warning shots. By sheer dumb luck, they get to the fence line and pull out the wire cutters. One shouts, "We did it, Reddit," just before being turned into a fine pink mist by the 50s. On the base side, most of the 20 people required to actually repel this attack go back to the cafeteria laughing about it. The .50 gunner gets sent home, then to critical incident counseling. The other hundreds of guys who were on call-up bitched that the morons didn't even break through the fence and trigger a real response, and that they wasted their night for nothing. Worst case scenario. Some idiot or group of idiots in the crowd produces a firearm, and they manage to put effective fire on some of the guards. The guards respond in accordance with the row issued to them. Defend the facility with reasonable force, up to and including deadly force if required. Simultaneously, several Humvees open up with .50 cal and 7.62 mm machine gun fire. Along with whoever produced a firearm, hundreds of people who thought they were badass a few minutes ago are now casualties, lying on the ground wailing. Most people scatter, but more gunshots are heard from the crowd, each met with a burst of HMG fire in return, resulting in another pile of bodies. The sun rises on a battlefield that looks like a Game of Thrones scene. There are a few dead idiots with guns and a lot of dead unarmed people who just got too close to the real idiots. Some people live streamed the whole thing, their phones still broadcasting from their lifeless hands. To all the people saying numbers like 10 to 12 people, keep in mind, at this point, over 400k have RSVP'. If 0.1% of them show up, that's still 400 people. I agree with everyone that the overwhelming majority of those signed up won't go. Hell, I'm signed up, ain't going though, but this number is so big that even 0.1% is hundreds of people, and people are really, really stupid. I'm betting a few hundred show up and are promptly met with increased security and crowd dispersal methods. A politician will take advantage. Won't happen, mostly because the people committing to do it probably forgot it involves going outside. In the desert. In the middle of summer. Also, they probably don't have a good address for their GPS, and there's no paved or covered parking. We are all shot or killed. Or they do the Men in Black flashy thing on us. Aliens surrender peacefully, not a shot is fired, they're arrested and found guilty of possession of space narcotics with intent to distribute. Sentenced to 5 to 10. We're coming to see the aliens, government. You can't hide from us any longer. And just to make sure you can't do anything tricky, we're giving you 3 months advance notice. The army obliterates 400,000 AIM nerds with heavy artillery. Nothing will happen, a few losers will turn up, convince us this is the big moment, and then it won't be. It will get a 30-second mention on local news. Aliens will come out to save all of the people who want to rush the base. We will have everlasting peace in the universe and be shown space travel. Our technology will jump 1,000 years in just a few. Let's say the people that signed up didn't do so as a joke. And these people actually do try and raid Area 51. They don't realize locks are a thing? Government right now is like, take all the alien shit and move it to Area 52, just in case they have a key. At most, a couple of dozen absolute idiots turn up, some with shitty signs or slogans on their shirts. If they even succeed in finding the right place, then armed guards will order them to disperse. 1 or 2 of them might be stupid enough to give the guards some attitude, at which point they will be detained, arrested. Everybody else will quickly back down and sit awkwardly at a distance before giving up and leaving. A mass genocide, and then a Reddit post about where all the comments are simply F. I suspect that few people will actually show up for the raid. That being said, I would not be surprised if the government prepared for it nonetheless, and that the cost of such preparations would not be trivial. I would imagine that the government will bring in enough security and equipment to block access to the base by a large crowd, with an emphasis on avoiding anyone being injured. Along with that, they will probably also set up medical services to provide aid as needed. All of this will cost money, of course, but I don't think that the government would want to be entirely unprepared for the event. So imagine this. A handful of protesters show up to the event and find themselves there with a massive military security and possibly civilian law enforcement personnel, along with a complement of ambulances, paramedics, and EMTs. Ground beef on the sand. This thing got way more attention than it should have. Funny Facebook event post that was about Naruto running ending up on news articles lol. Aliens will disintegrate everyone and begin their global takeover early. This is when we find out all world leaders are actually aliens in disguise. But the invasion will be put down when Vladimir Putin, who killed the alien that tried to mimic him, rides in on a white flying unicorn, naked from the waist up, shooting the power of the sun at the invading aliens, and burns them all to ashes. More people will show up to watch than will actually show up to participate. They'll probably realize it's a futile exercise before they even do it and abort. Otherwise it'll be a handful of people sort of jogging at the fence and looking around to see if anyone else is coming too. They'll get to the gate and it'll be a small group the guards can easily handle without violence. I predict you're already on some kind of watch for this post. US military laughs in 3000 RPM.